Hello, I think everyone has become tired of the eternal stories of revenge in movies, games, series, and animated series. Avenging one's family, friend, girlfriend, wife is the main motivation for many well-known characters. However, with Rick from our beloved animated series, it's different. Rick and Morty showed a very fast, senseless, and unattractive revenge. C-137 essentially killed Prime Rick not by his own efforts, did not take the main position in their epic battle, and couldn't even find him independently in the endless multiverse. Evil Morty helped him with that. So, let's discuss this in more detail. I have told the story of Rick C-137 several times, but now we have definitely understood something. As Prime himself, who invented the device for traveling through universes, tells us our Rick was second after him. This fact doesn't really fit into the concept of infinite universes, because if something happened in one of the infinite number of worlds, it would immediately generate an infinite number of such cases in an infinite number of other universes. Many still do not understand this concept, so it has to be explained in simple terms. Infinity, as I have mentioned several times, is obvious and, strangely enough, infinite. Therefore, the number of absolutely any universes where something specific happens or everything together is also infinite. Therefore, the assumptions made by the Rick and Morty writers are difficult to grasp. They tell us about some imaginary infinity, and then immediately about how some specific version of Rick from their infinite number first created a portal gun, and some other, second, third, and so on. It all sounds like nonsense. However, unfortunately, today we won't talk about it in detail. Maybe some other time. Let's focus on the important details to delve into the theme of vengeance. Once, C-137 declined Prime Rick's offer when he arrived at his garage from another universe. He chose to stay with his family rather than becoming a pawn in the hands of a great player among an infinite number of worlds. Prime was clearly very angry. He chose a completely different life, thereby depriving himself and other versions of the opportunity to choose. It wasn't easy for anyone. This proverb fits the situation perfectly. Recently, we learned that our Rick had been dreaming of revenge for his wife all this time. New information revealed that Prime not only killed Daen in C-137, but in every universe, depriving our Rick and other Ricks of the opportunity to replace their dead wife with a new one. However, his actions opened up opportunities for exploration of the cosmos and the multiverse to all his versions. But did they use this only for revenge? They had other goals, but it all came down to revenge for his wife. If you think about it, this case very well illustrates how a person, even with an infinite cosmos, a whole eternity at their feet, the ability to travel between worlds, still cannot forget about their love, about the closest person in their life. However it may be, as if it is not typical for the cartoon Rick and Morty, but its creators promote well-established human values and do it very strongly, correctly. The viewer believes in this story. Despite all the efforts of our Rick C-137, and even though he ranks second in the hierarchy of the greatest scientists of all galaxies, yielding only to Prime Rick, he cannot find his most malicious enemy. However, his endless searches have led to significant changes in Rick's life, shaping him as a person. The scientists bearing the surname Sanchez, including C-137, have become somewhat indifferent to others, albeit to some extent traumatized, but they have gained a truly interesting and thrilling life, filled with passion, war, punk rock, and challenges to themselves. Such was the life of Rick C-137. However, until he became completely disillusioned with his own goals, he did not lose hope. Afterward, more out of desperation than actually hoping to catch Prime, he moved into his enemy's house, living with his family. Years went by until the Evil Morty appeared. At that time, Rick C-137 didn't care much about some unruly micro-people. He didn't know the significant role Evil Morty would play in the future. Meanwhile, the Great Conqueror seizes the Citadel, learns about the central finite curve and how it works. He creates his own portal gun and device to fly through space beyond the curve. He lived his life carefreely until he noticed a crack in his own barrier caused by the actions of Rick C-137, who had resumed his search for Prime. Our archenemy, in turn, created numerous deceptions, simulating his presence in a specific universe, making him harder to detect. It wasn't so easy until the sinister version of his grandson invaded with his uncharacteristic Morty intellect. Instead of eliminating the source of his problem, namely Rick, he decided to help C-137 find his most malicious enemy. He probably did this with the thought that the sooner this stubborn old man finished his business, the sooner he would return to his sweet life beyond the curve. However, it turns out that our heroes fell into a trap, not encountering the real Prime, and so on. The details of the skirmish aren't as important. Firstly, Evil Morty found Rik's Prime, not our Rick. Secondly, during the battle with Prime, Rick was effectively defeated, and if not for Morty's smart move, our heroes probably wouldn't have survived. Thirdly, it's a very sad situation. Rick C-137 dreamed of meeting Prime from the very beginning. However, at the decisive moment, our grandpa didn't essentially do anything. He couldn't find his enemy, couldn't defeat him in battle. Everything was done by Evil Morty. Rick presented the defeated Prime C-137 on a silver platter, reviving him and taking what he needed. But Rick agreed to accept even such a victory. Pathetic, boring, but a victory nonetheless. With fury coloring Prime's face, C-137 doesn't know what to do next. The goal of his life has been achieved. He killed the killer of his wife, period. And now remember how we, the viewers, dreamed and pondered about the thrilling showdown between the two smartest people in the universe after we were told about the dreadful, invincible Prime. At first, it was all a joke, then the story grew with new details, and now it's over. Prime Rick died at the hands of our hero. However, Rick C-137 didn't get what we wanted for him, and the creators didn't finish it all like that for no reason. They showed us what real vengeance tastes like, and it brings only disappointment, emptiness, and a terrible aftertaste. We were lured by dreams of an epic battle of titans, but it turned out differently. Evil Morty came, dealt with the situation, and left. The writers could have shown us a truly epic battle, where our grandpa could have shown his intellect, revealed all his aces up his sleeve. After a long and spectacular fight, he could have triumphed over Prime Rick. And then, undoubtedly, he would have felt the same emptiness inside as he does now. Life would have lost its meaning for him, but the audience would have believed in it. He wouldn't have felt that disappointment the same way. We would have seen a badass Rick C-137 mourning for a portion of the episode, but then returning to his adventures, and we would have been glad. We would have been thrilled that Rick finally avenged his wife. And that's exactly what happened in the end. By changing just one detail, the creators were able to show what revenge really looks like. It stirs up a storm of mixed emotions, and hardly any of them are joy or satisfaction. The creators seem to proclaim, "Here it is, the long-awaited moment. Are you happy?" But instead of an answer, we sit in front of the monitor, hearing the ringing in the ears of the main character, and a smoothly entering, beautiful melody. The story of Prime Rick has ended, and neither the viewer nor the hero is satisfied. This is true interaction with the audience, full immersion into the character's emotions, and a truly meaningless revenge that only empties the character's soul.